Imagine you are an animal, just a creature trying to survive on the savanna. What is the one thing you absolutely cannot afford to lose? You might think of your sharp teeth or your claws, maybe your camouflage. But the real answer is simpler than that. It is your fur. Because fur is a built-in climate control system. It shields you from the sun's radiation. It keeps the biting insects away. It protects your skin from direct physical damage. So from an evolutionary point of view, losing your fur looks like an act of deliberate self-sabotage. It feels like a terrible survival strategy. And yet, here you are, a mostly hairless ape. Now here is where most people think they know the story. The classic idea is that we lost our fur because the African savanna got too hot. Simple, right? Thick coat on a hot day equals a really bad time. But that is only a tiny piece of a much stranger puzzle. Here's the real twist. We didn't just lose our fur, we replaced it. We traded one system for another. We took off a thick passive blanket and grew millions of tiny active water, cooling towers instead. We replaced fur with sweat glands. This is the first big reversal. It is not a loss. It is a swap. Think about it. Why does a cheetah run faster than you? Why does a horse run faster than you? Why does a wolf run faster than you? The answer is obvious. Over a short distance, they are pure speed machines. We are not. But now, let's change the game. Let's make them run for hours, not a sprint, but a marathon under a midday sun. This is where the second reversal hits. Many of those elite runners will have to stop. They overheat. A cheetah's sprint is a one-shot deal. If it fails, the animal is a furnace on legs and must shut down. A wolf can chase for a long time, but it relies on panting, which is a limited cooling system when the air is just as hot as its body, and you just keep going. We look physically vulnerable, soft, naked, but you possess one of the most brutal endurance systems this planet has ever engineered. Let's get under your skin, literally. You are not just sweating a little. You are a biological machine built for extreme liquid cooling across your entire body. You have between 2 and 5 million sweat glands. That number, right there, is off the charts. It completely dwarfs the count in almost any other mammal you can name when you run. These millions of glands push water directly onto the surface of your skin. Then, simple physics takes over. To evaporate just 1 single gram of water, your body has to pay an energy price. It gives up heat. It is the same principle as a computer with a liquid cooling loop or a nuclear power plant's cooling tower, just far more efficient. You aren't just cooling off. You are transferring your internal engine heat directly into the air, drop by drop. And here is the elegant part. Fur would ruin this system. If you were covered in a thick coat, the sweat would soak the fur instead of your skin. The evaporation would happen on the tips of the hair, away from your hot body. You would lose water, but not the heat. The system fails to become a walking water, cooling tower. You had to take the insulation off. This is the physical trade that redefined us. So you see the logic now. You trade passive defense, a fur coat, for an active offensive weapon. The ability to keep a steady internal temperature while on the move for an unbelievably long time. This allowed our ancestors to step into a unique ecological niche, not as a quick ambush predator, but as a persistent one, using what some scientists call persistence hunting in hot environments. Imagine a group of early humans on the African plains. The sun is directly overhead. The temperature is soaring past 35 degrees Celsius. An antelope stands in the distance. It can outrun any human in a matter of seconds. The antelope knows this, but the humans start walking, then jogging, then running. The antelope sprints away and disappears over a ridge. It finds shade, but its breathing is heavy, its body temperature is spiking, and it needs time to cool down. It hasn't even finished recovering when those same humans appear on the horizon. Again, still coming, still running at that same steady, relentless pace. The antelope bolts again and again and again. Each sprint pushes its internal temperature higher. Each rest period gets shorter. The humans are not faster. They are simply a thermal weapon. They are using the sun and their own freakish cooling system to turn the environment itself against their prey. After hours of this, the antelope simply cannot get its body temperature down anymore. It collapses from hyperthermia, not from a killing bite. The humans walk up, make the kill, and carry the meat home. This is not a myth. This is a documented hunting strategy. And it worked because of one thing: your sweat. We looked at a sprinting world and said, we don't have to be faster. We just have to outlast you. But here is the final reversal, the one designed for the highest audience retention. You've just heard a beautiful, clean story, right? Fur for sweat, speed for stamina. And yet, after decades of research, the scientific community still hasn't fully closed the case. The cooling hypothesis is strong, but it is not alone. There is the sexual selection idea that bare skin became a powerful signal of health and a parasite, free body to a potential mate. Think about it. In a world where parasites could mean disease and death, having skin that was visibly clear, skin where you could see there were no ticks or fleas hiding in the fur, that was a massive evolutionary advantage. It was a walking billboard that said, I am healthy, I am strong, my genes are worth your time. Over countless generations, mates may have simply preferred the less hairy individuals, gradually nudging our entire lineage toward the naked skin you have today. This is not just about survival, it is about attraction. It is about the quiet, ancient, and deeply biological roots of desire. Then there is the parasite hypothesis. Shedding thick fur reduced the constant burden of ticks, lice, and other disease-carrying pests. In dense social groups, parasites spread like wildfire. A thick coat of fur is a perfect apartment complex for blood-sucking insects. By losing that fur, early humans dramatically reduced their parasite load. This meant less disease, less energy wasted on scratching and fighting infections, and more energy for growing bigger brains and raising healthier children. It also made us more attractive to each other, tying back into that sexual selection idea. A naked body is a body you can inspect, a body you can trust. There is the highly controversial, yet stubbornly persistent, aquatic ape hypothesis, which suggests a phase of semi-aquatic living pushed us towards hairlessness. The idea here is that our ancestors spent a significant amount of time wading, swimming, and foraging in shallow waters. In that environment, fur is a liability. It creates drag in the water, it loses its insulating properties when wet. So, the hypothesis argues, we shed our fur much like hippos or whales did, developing a layer of subcutaneous fat instead to keep warm. This theory also tries to explain why we have webbed fingers and toes, why babies instinctively hold their breath underwater, and why our body hair follows streamlined patterns. It is a fascinating idea, and it makes for a great story, but the evidence is largely circumstantial, and most mainstream paleoanthropologists remain deeply skeptical. Still, it refuses to die because it fills in some gaps that other theories cannot. And there is the social signaling idea. That bare skin simply made emotional communication more visible and potent, strengthening our tribes. You are a social primate. Your survival has always depended on your ability to read the emotions and intentions of the people around you. With fur covering your face and body, a lot of that subtle signaling is lost. Blushing, the rush of blood to the cheeks that signals embarrassment or romantic interest, becomes invisible. The subtle pallor of fear, the flush of anger, the warm glow of affection, all of these are hidden under a thick coat of fur. By evolving naked skin, we turned our entire bodies into a social signaling canvas. We could read each other more accurately. We could bond more deeply. We could coordinate more effectively. In the complex social chess game of early human tribes, the ability to instantly read a teammate's emotional state could mean the difference between life and death, between a successful hunt and a fatal miscommunication. So, the real punchline is this. We may know how we lost our fur. We may even know why it gave us a superpower. But the full, complete truth, the single definitive reason this radical transformation happened to our lineage, remains one of the great open questions in human evolution. Was it one of these reasons? Was it all of them? Working together in a complex evolutionary feedback loop, the honest answer is, we just don't know yet. And that is the beauty of science. It does not give you a single, neat, tidy answer wrapped in a bow. It gives you a map with edges marked, "Here be dragons." It invites you to wonder. So think about it. You are the result of an evolutionary gamble so strange that we still can't agree on exactly what made it happen. Your bare skin is a map of unsolved mysteries. Every time you look in the mirror, you are seeing a feature that separates you from almost every other land mammal on this planet. That nakedness is a question, not a statement. It is a 4 million-year-old whodunit, and you are the walking, talking, sweating crime scene. What other animal on Earth can claim to wear its greatest mystery so openly, so unashamedly, so completely on the surface? You are a naked ape standing under the sun, and the simple fact of your existence is a puzzle that the brightest minds on the planet are still trying to solve. Now, I am curious. If you could borrow one specific biological superpower from another animal, say a bat's echolocation or an octopus's skin-changing ability, what would it be and why? Tell me your pick in the comments below. The stranger, the better. I genuinely want to know what your mind goes to when you think about upgrading the human body. And for more stories about the hidden engineering inside your own body, the strange, the beautiful, and the deeply weird machinery that keeps you alive and running, make sure to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.